And hello, YouTube. Thanks for joining us here this evening. It's 9 p.m. in Poland. I don't know what time it is where you are, but I hope you're having a great day, great morning, great evening. I'm here with Saint Murad, and we are going to be discussing how he created his very interesting, very revolutionary, unique Quran translation. We've already discussed some of why he did it, what's in it, how it's different, but now we want to look at how he created it. And yeah, Murad, welcome.
Hello, Lloyd. It's always great to be here. And a little bit off topic, but Emperor Trump is in the house, so this is something that I am very pleased with, and you are very pleased with. So this is something just as a side note. We are moving in the
Yeah,
right direction. I'm very proud of this, actually.
no, I'm glad that the emperor has managed to reclaim his throne, and we look forward to it's Christmas came early, and we shall see what happens over the next 4 years. I think this will put woke has been put on notice, and I hope they clean up at the FBI, the CIA, you name it. All of these agencies, all these corrupt agencies are either abolished or minimized in size, and then they stop becoming woke universities.
Exactly. So this is the first thing. Second, today I will talk about how I actually created this translation because it is very different. And if anyone listening now says, well, we do not need another Quran translation, this is just another one, we have hundreds, I will tell him, please be patient. Please do not assume that you know because you do not know. This is the first thing. And if you like, I could share now the PowerPoint.
Certainly, yeah. Go ahead, just hit share and
So, do you see now?
yes, the first non-Islamic Quran translation by Saint Murad.
Okay, so this translation, we talked last time about other translations, and I say that they are all oranges, and mine is an apple because mine is different. It's language based. Let me tell you my story. I am a native Arabic speaker from the Middle East. Arabic is my mother tongue. I have never studied in any Islamic institution, and that is a plus. That is why I'm not polluted with the sin propaganda. Throughout this journey, I was in a game of chess with the Quran, actually, when I was translating it. The first time I have encountered any English Quran translation was when I made YouTube videos with Mel from Islamic Origins. It used to be called Sneakers Corner. And here is how the story goes. Actually, first time I saw his video with Jay Smith, they made a minor mistake about Arabic. So I
Hmm.
just wrote him. I told him, would you like me? I just want to contact you. It's a long comment. We could just talk by voice? He said yes. And then afterwards, he found that I have a little bit of knowledge. He told me, would you like to record a video or two with me? I told him, okay. Then, of course, I needed to quote the Quran for a verse or two. I didn't know of any English translations because why would I?
Hmm.
As an Arabic speaker, I am only reading it in Arabic. So I came across Abdullah Yusuf Ali and Sahih International. I found them to be very bad. So with time, I had to translate the verses that I was gonna discuss. So I had to translate them on the fly because it's gonna be still better than what I'm used to. But as time went on, I found out that these translations are so bad that we do actually need to have another one. You have anything to say now?
A question. I've one. I want to say very thank you to Sean Anderson for that donation. He says woke is totally broke and a joke. Exactly, and I hope they all go broke. Vote with your wallets. Don't support woke, and let's just drive it out of the public sphere. It doesn't belong there. Let's just reclaim good morality, just Christian morality once more. And yeah, I have one question about this, Murad. Do you find that Christians, even though they don't necessarily speak any Arabic, very few do, do they make a good faith? effort to correctly translate, correctly present, understand, and deal with the Quran accurately. So even if it's along the lines of the sin, but because I find that Muslims just randomly make up stuff about the Bible and randomly interpret words the way they want. Do you find that Christians are sincere about how they interpret the Arabic and try to make an effort to be genuine about it?
From what I've seen, very much sincere. Osama Dakdok, very sincere and knowledgeable. Robert Spencer, very sincere. And I do not know about other translations because there are not many Christian
But even
translations.
YouTube apologists, I meant even YouTube apologists who don't speak Arabic, like myself or others like me who
Yes,
do
very
think.
sincere. But sincerity alone, as you can see, could take you so
Agreed.
far.
But you don't see us just randomly interpreting things, making things up, or being very sloppy. We try to make an effort to try to at least be accurate. Do you find that that's the case, as opposed to my criticism here, how Muslims just misinterpret the Bible, for instance?
Yeah, no, the Muslim way of dealing with things you will never find unless with Muslims and with some atheists also. But let's just
Okay.
talk about Islam. They are the only ones who really misrepresent the Bible and the Trinity.
Okay.
And the reason is deep inside, they really disrespects and disregards to the point that they think it doesn't even deserve an accurate representation. That's the secret that they might not say.
That's frightening. I have two questions. One is the one from Villainous that's on the screen we can get to in a moment. But the first one is, well, what made you decide to watch Jay and Mal speaking? What got you interested?
Well, I used to watch Jay a long time before. I used to watch Jay and Robert Spencer, let's say 2009. So when I found that Mel was talking with Jay and Mel was very responsive to comments, he didn't have a lot of comments and used to respond to every comment. I said, well, why not I write him a comment? So I used to watch them way back, especially Robert
Right.
Spencer. Robert Spencer is my most favorite, if you ask me, about polemics and how he deals with Islam and how he looks at the history, because he is the one who actually got me into looking at Islam from outside the sources with his
Okay.
book Did Muhammad Exist?
Okay, that's interesting. I was curious how you got into all of that.
Yeah, because in the beginning, the way I left Islam was actually through the movie Zeitgeist. This movie, it debunked the existence of Jesus. But
Yes.
with time I found that this is wrong, but actually Muhammad has a problem. So the question of did Muhammad exist was a very powerful question that I was really interested in, and Robert is the one who asked that question. No one ever asked it before him, if you think about it.
Right. Right. That's really interesting. You know what? I'm actually going to be having. Remember JC, the author that I think you guys may have been on to, or maybe not, but you've seen me do one or two shows with him. He's going to come on. Which I'm trying to plan a talk with him and Odon, perhaps on Saturday. It's short notice for you, but also for Odon, um, to talk about his hypothesis on who Muhammad is, because he's got some very interesting ideas, and I think it's got some merit. And I don't know if you'd like to join in on that, or if we should try and reschedule to get you on to be part of that conversation. It might be interesting.
Yeah, we can talk about it off air, no problem.
Okay.
So now we will move to a sinless Quran translation. We all have a common enemy at this stage, and that is the sin. The only reason
Mhm.
people trust the sin is that they think it has no alternative. The sin is hiding the primitive layer of the Quran, which was suppressed mostly by the Abbasids. I said to myself, never touch the sin and let's translate the Quran without it. I knew that I was the only one to do it. So I swore an oath to deliver my people the best possible sinless Quran translation. Not just because I am very passionate about the subject, but also because they gave me so much love on YouTube. This is the reality. I
Right.
never imagined actually being on YouTube and people writing me such comments.
Okay. So you found a fan base.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. At least that's good.
So here. What did these people have next to them as they were translating the Quran? You have the Muslims and the non Muslims. They had the sin. That makes them all an orange. What did I have next to me as I was translating? I had linguistics. I had the Oxford Dictionary. I had الفروق اللغوية العسكري and Al-Mu'jam, which is the Arabic dictionary. We're going to talk about all of this. So that makes me an apple. That's why I say do not compare apples to oranges. So first things first, I checked every single word in the Quran, and I used an Arabic Quran tool which finds the Quranic word in every single verse and counts them. It's called Al Munaqib Al Qurani, meaning the Quran mining tool, as mining for gold. This is the name in Arabic. This really helped me get the closest understanding to how the author actually intended the word without the pollution of the sin. Let's try this the way I translated it. Let's look at the word nasakha. It's mentioned 4 times. Here are the 4 times.
Right.
So the word nasakha mentioned 4 times in the Arabic. In my translation, one English word for this Arabic word 4 times also. Why? Because the words I choose are so accurate that they would fit like a glove in every single context. I have done this with every single word in the Quran, not once, but also multiple times. This helped
Right.
me create my next step, and this is the concordance. And at this point, I will ask you, what would you like to say at this point?
I've seen many comments about people wanting you to publish your concordance. Basically, they're saying, Murad, take my money.
Yeah, but the problem is the concordance is written in a very amateur, primitive way that only I could understand,
All
and
right.
it is not for sale. And as I say, it's like the KFC secret recipe. It's not for sale, but you could always have the KFC. So it's all contained in my translation. This is the idea.
Right.
Maybe in the future I could think about writing it in a very professional manner. That's something
May
else.
be worth considering. Also, others have mentioned they would love for you to do obviously an Aramaic concordance or slash, comparison between, Arabic and how the words may have evolved from Aramaic to Arabic, and then also some of the other foreign words where you've got blanks or gaps that like you to fill in what you think is the most appropriate word, even if it's not Arabic, to try to fill in those gaps to try and trace the history of those words or the etymology or path of those words. That's also I've seen those comments come up on a consistent basis.
Yeah, this could be a next step, as I will detail in this presentation. I will tell you why I could not have done it all in one go at the beginning. That's the reason.
Right.
So here, the Saint Murad's translation ladder, it started by creating a concordance. I started by creating my own concordance from scratch with every single word in the Quran. This brought up a lot of surprises to the surface. This led to an ultra sharp accuracy. For example, the word asaba, it's always translated as fingers. But if you look deeply into it, you will find that in Arabic there are no fingers and toes, rather digits. Digits for thumb or finger or toe. The
Hmm.
word himar, for example, is not just a donkey. It is exclusively male donkeys, and it is in the informal manner. That's why I have it as jackass. That's the way that the Quran is speaking. The word kelb, always translated just as dog, but it's proven by Surah 5, verse 4, for example, that it is specifically a dog that hunts. So this is a hound.
Okay. So is this was using hounds, was that part of Arab culture?
Well, I know that there is one hadith that says kill all the dogs, but not the hunting dog.
Yeah,
So
because these little, these small things. I mean, something that I learned when I was studying crime, basically, uh, was sometimes you find an odd, loose detail that just like, oh, why is that there? And it gives you a clue as to something. These odd little details, and that's an odd detail. What culture did that? Because then that might give us a clue as to where that came from.
Exactly, and that's why with this translation, I was not clumsy with any word, even if it's something like the dog or the donkey, very important.
Hmm.
So, people, I will tell them, please do not say stuff like, why is this important? Because if you are being mediocre in translating words like these, then you will most likely be disqualified in translating the very important words that would actually affect the religion. So, this is important. Why do I have this? Because I want to show the people how I started from the ground up with all of these words.
Words. I mean, look at the left. Look at atheists. Same thing. Communists. They twist the meaning of words. Now, man means woman. Woman means man. Nothing means anything. And accuracy is important.
Yeah, and they say when you refer to someone who's transgender, you say they. Well, why don't you use just he or she or it? Now I don't know if you are talking about someone or a
Yeah.
multitude of people. This is just so wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. No. The they thems. Yeah.
So, like a pencil, the more you sharpen it, the better. My concordance was becoming sharper and sharper by the day, sometimes serendipitously correcting errors from 14 centuries. Someone could ask me, Murad, can't I just use ChatGPT to get the correct Arabic non sin meaning of words? I will tell him no because I personally tried that to see how good AI is with such issues. And I found out that ChatGPT is sometimes more Muslim, more dependent on AI.
uh, okay. Looks like we've lost Saint Murad. Um, as you all know, Allah works in mysterious ways. Welcome back, Saint Murad.
Yeah, do you hear me?
Welcome back. You disappeared there for like 5 seconds. I was just telling people that we do know that Allah works in mysterious ways, and His jinn are obviously onto you.
Yeah, exactly. But do you hear me fine now?
Yes, five
Okay,
5 by 5. So
okay. So at this point, the concordance got sharper. Now, the next step I did was actually reading the whole dictionary. I then moved to an unorthodox step, which is not average, and that is I read the entire dictionary over 4,000 pages, Oxford abridged version. It took me something like 3 weeks or something. Why? To increase my vocabulary. I
wow.
highlighted a lot of words that I knew might be in the Quran. So I used to read it, and the Quran is always in my mind. I highlighted like hundreds of words, and then I got them out, and then I tried to compare and contrast again with my concordance. You see? So after reading the Oxford Dictionary, of course, it sharpened the concordance even further.
What about the Arabic dictionaries like the Lisan al Arab and the ah, I just forgot the name of the other one. The major. I mean, the Lisan is what 20 volumes, and those are classical Arabic dictionaries going back centuries. And what's the other one? I can't remember the name right now. Just slipped my mind. But what about those? Were those of help?
And that's actually I translated using these dictionaries, Lisan al-Arab and Mu'jam al-Ma'ani, meaning in English the dictionary of meanings. This is the literal
Mm,
translation for it. But this is something that I can never read the entirety of. This is
okay,
humongous. But reading the
right.
abridged Oxford Dictionary, it was doable.
To- Okay, yeah, to find appropriate English words. Okay.
Exactly, because I found a lot of words that perfectly fit the Quranic word that I never knew. So I had to expand my vocabulary and be humble at this stage. So, next step is I read the whole book called Al-Furuq al-Lughawiyya al-Askari, meaning the linguistic differences by Al-Askari. Why?
Hmm.
To discern the very subtle differences between every Arabic synonym. I get very angry when people say, well, this is just a synonym. No, there is subtle differences that are critical that might make or break, especially at this stage when we do not know what the Quran is anyway. I have also noticed that Muslims do not respect the Quran at all. They say it is a linguistic miracle, yet they don't obsess over linguistics. They don't read books like Al Askari, and they put their heads into the sin standard Islamic narrative. And before I proceed, what do you think so far?
What I find is that there tends to be a huge diversity of translation. It's interpretation rather than an attempt to accurately translate. The Qurans generally tend to be paraphrases of the tafseers. And I think that sometimes they try to avoid certain translations tend to have certain, let's say, philosophical, theological, or political agendas they're trying to push. But also, I think they try to avoid clarity because I think they don't want to frighten away potential converts who are reading in things in English. They want to keep things vague so they can tap dance. And so I just find there just always seems to be an agenda behind, and they try to actually avoid accuracy. I mean, the fact that your translation is so different from the actual text, from the actual sin is disturbing, and the things that you've discovered. So I think they are trying to avoid accuracy rather than actually provide any accuracy. They adding things.
Exactly. This is exactly what they are doing, especially a very good point with the Muslim converts. They want to lure in more converts,
Hmm.
so they use all the tactics in the book. So, of course, they are just, and they are making it for Allah, as I always say. They translate the Quran for Allah. I translate the Quran for the people, for the reader. So, this is a very big difference. So, after reading Abu Hilal Askari's linguistics differences, of course, it further strengthened my concordance. Next step was looking at English words of Arabic origin. They do exist. I have read and looked into all possible English words of Arabic origin. Why? So that the English word of my choice is not just accurate in meaning, but sometimes also a direct loan word, and it sounds the same. For example, we have in the Arabic maraja, it's exactly the same in English, it's merge. Maraja,
Hmm.
merge. You see? So when he says Maraj al Bahrain, meaning he merged the two seas, could you say a
Really?
different, yeah, could you say a different word? Of course. But
But
is it,
could these potentially be Arabic words of English origin?
no,
No, right? No,
no, no,
no.
no.
Too
I've
late.
looked
English
into
is
it.
too late. Yeah, English is way too late. It's long after. Yeah.
Yeah, and most of these words, it's because there was trade. So you will find most of these words having to do with spices that were being traded. Like, for example, camphor and kafur, Arabic.
Ah,
Musk,
true. Even
misk.
between America and the US, you have differences like faucet and tap, lift, elevator, free speech, and jail time. If you look between the US and the UK, you know,
Yeah,
so I mean
synonyms.
synonyms. Yeah, I mean free speech. Social media, go to jail. That's the difference between the US and the UK. It's like so. Yeah, we're very similar, but yeah, there are differences there already. Sorry, that was just a dig at. Well, that's actually no, just sorry. It was kind of a joke, but it's a very serious issue. As you know, in the UK right now,
Yeah,
social media can get you sent to jail. Although um, assault, let's just say assault while naked on young children will get you a suspended sentence and get sent home. But saying something nasty on Twitter will get you sent to jail for 3 years. So yeah. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Just moving on.
yeah, this is the reality of the situation these days. But the emperor will change everything, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think so. I hope so. But yeah, this okay, but that's interesting because we know the Quran has what? I mean, potentially something like 55 languages. As many as 55 languages can be found, or traces of it can be found in the Quranic text. So, um, yeah, so it's clearly taking from a lot of different places over a long period.
Exactly. Now, I am telling the people to not worry. I have only used these loan words in very rare cases where the meaning and the sound are the same, because, of course, people listening could say, well, maybe it sounds the same, but now it doesn't have exactly the same connotations. No, I am using them when they are all aligning. So, reading articles about English loan words from Arabic further strengthen my concordance, and these are Arabic
Hmm.
sources that I have read. So now the concordance, you could say, 100% perfected, but now we need even more precision with word choice. So in Arabic, just like in English, there are words that are formal, informal, humorous, vulgar, poetic, and so on. After I have perfected my concordance, I checked to find the perfect fit also. So, for example, when the Quran says enemy, is it enemy, formal, or foe, poetic? This is very important as
Oh,
well.
okay, so context, like okay, so or style,
Exactly.
interesting.
So I tried my
Tone or
best.
voice. Okay,
Yes, I tried my
interesting.
best to transform the whole feeling of the Quran to the English reader.
What about literal versus figurative and all of those ideas as well?
I have looked into it, but the Quran mostly is literal. So it
Hmm.
is a literal translation. If there is something that's figurative, then this is for the people to find out. At this stage, I cannot discern what is figurative because I will be putting my opinion into it. So I'm just giving you the literal, you see.
Hmm.
I also translated the English words back into Arabic to see what comes out. That I confer, then I can further choose a better word. You see, if you have the text translated into English and then you translate it back into Arabic, it's gonna sound very different. Then people would not recognize it. So doing this exercise back and forth very much strengthened the word choice. Do you want to say something or should I continue?
No, gone for a moment. I do want to bring up that comment by the linguist that I emailed you. I'm going to see if he added another comment. I believe he did, because I thought that might be interesting to bring to the attention of the audience.
Yeah, you have it now or should I continue?
Continue for a moment, and I will find it.
Okay. So, archaic or modern English? This is a question that anyone who translates he has to decide from the beginning. I ask, do you think we have the luxury to choose? I do not care. Anything that gets the job done. So my translation is a mixture of both because this is the only way to encompass a Quranic word. That's on one level. Now, why do I have archaic pronouns? Well, in the English, you have a very firm translation to rely on with the Bible. You have the King James. But when it comes to the Quran, you don't. That's why I had to do it this way. It had to come into existence. Plus, remember, the Quran is also a mixture in the Arabic. So the Quran itself has archaic and modern way of
Mhm.
saying things. So that's why when you read it, you have to have the same feel that we have as Arabic readers.
Do you find the Quran is generally more formal or more poetic?
More formal, but the ending surahs are more poetic. The small
Okay,
ones at the end, more poetic.
okay. So so there's a mixture of styles, but does it seem a coherent mixture of styles, or like clearly separate silos? Does it seem like it's kind of random?
Well, mostly random, but like the surahs in the end, mostly poetic. The ones in the beginning, mostly formal, but they do have some poetic. No, the ones at the beginning, mostly formal. They do not have any
Okay.
poetic.
And some of the poetry, does it feel forced, like they try to alter the words to make it rhyme?
Yeah, definitely. This is something with the Quranic author, as I told you before. He has
Hmm.
no problem to twist any grammar just so that the rhymes sound nice. It's like a rapper. You know, the rapper he could say stuff that doesn't make any sense, but as long as it makes the rhyming right. The Quranic author is a rapper.
Okay, so is the question here is then if the Quran was recited, shouldn't it be rhyming poetic all the way through, in theory?
In theory, yes, but in reality, this is not the case, especially with Surah 2, because John of Damascus he said it was a separate book. It looks and sounds and feels like a separate book. It's very formal and it doesn't have any humor. The Quranic author actually sometimes has humor in some places, but it's dark humor. Like I told you
Hmm.
last time, he is a dark person, dark triad. But the ones in the beginning, especially Surah 2, it's a very boring, very dull, very formal.
Mm, right. But written by the same person, you think, or different people, different times? Or it's just the same, imitating the similar style? Or just your thoughts on that?
What I can tell you is that, for example, Surah 2, definitely this author is not the one who authored the final surahs, which are the small ones.
Hmm. Okay.
These are not the
Okay.
same people. The final author is much more poetic and is a nicer guy, and his sentences are shorter. But if you look at Surah 2, you might find a sentence that's very, very long and it sounds and looks weird because this is the other author.
Okay. That's really, it shouldn't be that way. It's not supposed to be that way because the standard the Quran sets is perfection.
No, it's, as you can say, rags and tatters. They are just
Wow.
pieces that are mixed together and they do not work together. So when they say they gathered the Quran, yes, I think it is a gathered text, but it was gathered in a very clumsy manner. That's what you get.
Yeah. I seriously hope someone in academia picks this up, starts to work with this, that scholars are brave enough to do this. But we need to put pressure as us on YouTube. We need to promote this material, discuss it, and force scholars to acknowledge and deal with it. I have those notes. Can I put them on screen? Shall we just quickly just diverge and go back to last week's talk?
Yeah, no problem. I will check on my phone so that I can see you.
Okay, yeah. Let me show this on stream. So this is from a linguist, an actual bona fide linguist, and he speaks here of Quran 65:4. And I'm not sure what this word is here.
Al Ahmal.
Okay, what Murad said. And he says this is interesting. What is going on here is that in Syriac, it had been used in a figurative sense as fruit, as then found in the Peshitta. Um, he says Peshitta Exo 23:16. I'm not sure what this word is here.
I do not know how to read this. So this
Okay,
is
so yeah,
Syriac
then
word.
it's a different Syriac word, yeah. The Quranic author tried using the poetic Syriac sense of the word, which has a nice alliteration with, and he has this Arabic word here.
حملهن.
Okay, their load, their burden. Ah, that's the load. And you said it may be pregnancy or something like that. And he
Yes,
says the translation, those who are pregnant, is not what the Quranic author meant to convey. The translation should be something like those who carry fruit. So he wanted it poetic. Here, the author is clearly taking hints from Judeo Christian language usage in Syriac. In pure Arabic, the text is nonsensical, as demonstrated by Murad, and the Islamic scholars fail to recognize the Judeo Christian poetic language. That's the first part that he mentions when you were speaking of, because we were speaking of 65:4 for those who are checking their periods or something, and then he goes, no, 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 for those, and you said, no, for those who are carrying a load, right? And he says,
yes.
no, it's for those who are bearing fruit. It's actually trying to be poetic. It's stealing from Christianity, and it makes no sense in Arabic. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I was very pleased with this comment because this is something that I did not know, and what my translation tries to accomplish is actually asking such questions, opening these wounds. So if I didn't translate it this way, you would not have such a comment, because I want to show the people that the Arabic Quran has a problem. It is a problem. The syntax is a problem. This book is not Arabic, or if someone was speaking Arabic, then it was his second language at best, or third language.
Yeah. I mean, today someone sent me an email. Someone from Denmark sent me an email, and I had to like ask him, "Is this what you mean? Is this what you mean? Is this?" Because it was written using English words, but it was Danish using English words. That's what I told him. It's so whoever wrote to him and he sent it to me, he says this was written in Danish, but they were just using English words. It wasn't English. It just looked like English. It just resembled it. So, yeah, it made no sense in English. I struggled to understand. He says this message, however, is Talmudic, and he says Eruvin 47a13. Here, carrying things on Shabbat are discussed, and specifically a length of 3 courtyards is mentioned. The Arabic of 65:4 relates to carrying a load, as you said, and linking this with divorce is mentioned in the Talmudic sources. Gittin 18a, the sages decreed that it is prohibited for a woman to remarry within 3 months of her divorce or her becoming a widow, in order to prevent a situation of doubt concerning the paternity of a child or the father of a child. There are whole discussions in Jewish sources how they came up with 3 months. And without modern medical technology, this pretty much is the only way to be certain during which marriage the baby was created. He says the only real Christian thing here is that the Christians of West Asia were the main ones using the Syriac Peshitta, the source of the wordplay in Quran 65:4. So, I mean, this is great, combined with your knowledge. And if you can start working with linguists and working with other scholars, I mean, I think what you would open up here is phenomenal.
Yeah, I think so. And let me tell you about the word 3 months. Actually, the Quranic word is ثلاثة قروء. This is not shuhur or ashur. So قروء is a word that is specifically mentioned in the Talmud only. So what this linguist is saying goes very well. Like it all works together perfectly. Because
Right.
the Arabic, it doesn't have this word quru. This is a Talmudic word, and it means month, but this is a very Jewish word. So the Quranic author had very strange insight into the Talmud.
Right. And you've also said that they had English. What am I fascination with English today? The J. Coleman Kane says, were the authors native speakers or could they have spoken Arabic as a second language? And in fact, you said that it's very likely they could have been second language speakers because for the secondary sources like the tafseers and the hadiths, they were definitely second language speakers. Ah, sorry, Murad, did I? Sorry, say Murad, you there?
I hear you. Do you hear me?
Apologies, I accidentally muted you when I tried to change over the screen. That was my
Ah,
fault.
no problem.
Um, sorry, J. Coleman Kane says, was the authors of the Quran native speakers or was Arabic their second language? And I believe that's a good hypothesis, right? They were not necessarily Arabic first language, correct?
No, I think the original text was Aramaic, but then it got
Okay,
Arabized.
okay. But then we did say that the hadiths were from people with second language Arabic, right? And other languages were, from Turkmenistan and so on, and but not Arabic first language.
Yeah, and these parts that are written in very poor Arabic, it could be actually added during the Abbasid reign by these people who were not very fluent in Arabic.
Okay. So the core solid Arabic, and then even if it's old Arabic, and then later on there might be interpolations by people who didn't speak very good Arabic.
Exactly, because there was no one, of course, back in those days to tell them what are you doing. So they used to play around with the text, and the caliphs, they used to decide they want to add this, they want to remove that. They had the privilege to do this. See?
Okay, that's And if there's different voices in it, then clearly there's different authors, and if it's different authors, it's not a lot. It's just disturbing.
Minimum two authors, no doubt about it. Minimum. It could be even three, but minimum two.
Right, right,
And also, you might glean this from, like, for example, me and you, we say Emperor Trump, but someone else, he could say the Don. And always he says the Don. Why? Because he has this certain characteristics, he has this certain way of naming someone. So in the Quran, you have multiple ways of naming people. So you have Isa, and you could say Ibn Maryam, son of Maryam, just alone. And also you have Dhal Noon, meaning the one of the Noon, which is the whale of Jonah, or you could
right.
say Yunus, which is Jonah. So it might be that one author is calling him Yunus, and the other author is calling him Dhal Noon. This is a possibility.
Okay, so different people using different language. This supports a talk I did with Odon last week because you can identify mathematically different authors by different grammar and different diction.
I agree to that. As I'm telling you, minimum two people. Should I go on?
No, please go on. Please go on. Thanks. Yeah.
Okay, so as we were saying, archaic or modern English, is it necessary? Of course it is. Now let me show you why. In the Arabic, you have anta would be singular, antum would be plural, antuma pair. Other translations they have you, you, you. In the Murad translation, you have thou, singular, ye, plural, both of you, or sometimes the two of you, depending on the context, for antuma, which is pair. And the question is, does the Quran need more obscuring? It is already obscure, so we don't want to be even more obscure by putting you for singular, plural, and pair. So I had to use this archaic English, even if it's not very comfortable for someone to read. I started adding the final touches to my concordance. The concordance itself isn't for sale. As I say, this is like the KFC secret recipe, but it is all contained in my Quran translation. It took me 4 years to finish my concordance. Now that my concordance is complete, I then head to the Quran. Since I like being neat, I have manually dissected each surah of the Quran into PowerPoint slides like this. So you have this. Manually, I did this, half a page in every slide, taking every page as a snapshot so that every PowerPoint slide has half a Quranic page with a blank box next to it. As you can see here, and here I will put the translation. This task took me a few days to complete. So, dissecting every surah into PowerPoint form was the next step. So, now, next step was start translating. So, I basically started copying my concordance into my translation, and this resulted in over a 90% consistency rate. You will find in my translation, if you read it from A to Z, you will find that it has very few vocabulary exactly like the Arabic. All other translations are not even 10% consistent. They don't know what consistency means because they used the wrong methodology. This step took me a few months. So the actual translation of the Quran took me a few months.
Okay.
Now that I will get back to you, but I just want to tell the people that the concordance was perfected, then started translating from my concordance, and this made the Quran translation back to you.
Okay. So this was a very detailed process, and you did multiple steps to verify. And I assume you read and reread your own Quran translation to check that it made sense in your own head as well, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Did you have anyone read it, like anyone who would do like test reading of it to get feedback?
I did not, but this is for the people to decide so they can tell me it doesn't make sense. Well, it doesn't make sense in the Arabic. Let me tell you, when I sent you the email, I told you, are you annoyed by the translation? If you are annoyed, then good, because it is annoying in the Arabic. It is broken. The syntax is broken. It's not that my translation is wrong. It is this broken in the Arabic because the Quran is not coherent whatsoever. You see?
Right. Well, thank you very much, Cheeky Shiki. Thank you, Saint Murad, for this work, and thank you, Lloyd, for all you do. God bless you both. Well, that's no, thank you very much. People really do appreciate the work that you do, Murad. And yeah, hopefully you are. I mean, you are the new, not so secret weapon now that can really, really finally expose Islam and the Quran for what they really are.
I am very happy that the people are excited about this work. And shall I proceed?
Yeah, please.
Okay, what about the design? I tried my best to retain the 1924 Arabic Quran design, retaining all the symbols which are in the Arabic Quran, like this one. You will never find this in the English. Why? I do not know. And this one, prostrate to him. Always in the Quran, when you have prostrate, you have this, and this is sajda. When an Arabic reader reads the Quran and he comes to this part, he should
Mm-hmm.
close the Quran and go make one prostration. This is something that the English audience doesn't know.
Mm.
So I,
I,
yeah, so I tried my best to retain all of this. So I say that the original, my Quran translation, is a carbon copy of the Arabic. Now, what about brackets? Are there brackets in my translation? Well, only 1 4, but I have to explain why. Let's say the word rahat. It means a clan ranging from 3 or 7 all the way to 10 or less. This is exactly from the Arabic dictionary. Now, my question is, how can I put this? I must retain all of this, but at the same time, I don't want the English reader to assume that this one sentence is as such in the Arabic. So I had to put these brackets. This is just so that the whole thing looks neat. But actually, in the Arabic, rahat is all of this. There is no English equivalent for all of this.
mm. So there's no
So the
simple one-to-one word translation.
never. I'm asking you, do you have a word which has clan ranging from 3 or 7
Yeah,
all the way to 10 or less?
yeah, but countries, no, no, no. I mean, countries that look, Arabic will have its own nuances, but people that don't come from countries or cultures that don't speak multiple languages often have difficulty understanding how different languages. I speak multiple languages. I come from a country where there are multiple languages, and when you want to say certain things, a different language is actually sometimes better for it because that language describes that kind of thing in a superior way. For instance, one language just has it sounds right, or there's certain body language that goes with it. There's certain movements that accompany in it that it's just easier to express that thought in that language. It's shorter, or and so on. And yeah, you can't always translate word for word, one to one. And sometimes it's like explaining a joke in another language. It just doesn't have the same meaning.
Yeah, exactly. So, as you see, these brackets are rare and they are just so that the reader knows that this whole phrase
Mm,
is actually one word in Arabic. I put it
mm,
this way so that you know that this bundle of words actually represents one Arabic word. But it is
mm.
an integral part of the word, not an added commentary. So please read my brackets. They are original and they come straight from the Arabic dictionary.
Right. Just a question from O8. Is the second author of the Quran more coherent, or are they both at the same level of Arabic?
The first one, which will be the one who wrote Surah 2, is more logical, but the second one is more poetic, more artistic, and less logical. That's what I got from reading it over and over again.
Does that say anything about their levels of education?
Probably the first one is more educated and more dull, more serious, you know.
Okay.
The other one is more poetic, more fun. That's why you have all these weird sects in Islam, actually. You have Al Sufiya, you have Sufi. He will
Hmm.
take just one part of the Quran and he will say, well, God is love like Christianity. And well, because there are multiple authors, and these multiple authors created these weird sects of Islam later. So you have something as weird as a Salafi, who is very extremist, and on the other hand, you have Gnostics. In Christianity, it's not the same. Like in Christianity, the whole theme is God is love. Whether people do this in different ways, how they express this, but it's God is love. But in Islam, God could be love with some sects, and God could be Uh, you have sects that have Muhammad deified like Jesus, sometimes even raising the dead. Now, why all of these sects came about, I think, is because the Quran itself is very fragmented and it has all these themes together. You see?
Right. Interesting. I mean, there's just so many things to think about and discuss and to explore from where you are.
Okay, now about untranslated words in my Quran translation, and this is something that not a lot of people are pleased with. We have Dr. Gert Puin, who was the who worked on the Sana'a manuscript, which is currently believed to be the most ancient Quran manuscript. It has two texts, one above and one with radiocarbon technology. We can see the text which was lower, the
Hmm.
palimpsest. What did he say? The Quran claims for itself to be mubin or clear, but if you look at it, you will notice that every fifth sentence or so simply doesn't make sense. If the Quran is not comprehensible, if it can't even be understood in Arabic, then it is not translatable. I repeat, it is not translatable. That's what he said, because this is the reality of the situation. I did not
Hmm.
translate these words because they are not translatable.
And these aren't just little words at the end of the sentence that they call the mukatat or something. These are whole sentences that can't be translated, right?
Well, that's what Dr. Poon said. So, what I have is that you will
Yeah.
not find whole sentences that are not in my translation. It is just words. So, this shows you how much I actually um, resurrected from the dead, how much words I got right. So it's not every fifth sentence in my translation, but very much less, you
Hmm.
see. But
Hmm.
still, there are words that I could not translate because they are not in the Arabic dictionary, they do not make sense, and if you open the standard Islamic hooks, you will find that they are based on guessing. It is just a guess word. So I'm not going to use guessing, of course. Untranslated words are a mistake of the author, Allah, not the translator. I am okay with it being considered a negative in my translation, but I am not okay with just filling the gaps. When they Arabized it, they ruined it. The original meanings of these words are lost. They are lost, but of course, as you know, we try our best to try and hunt down these words to see where they came from or what the author actually intended. Do you have any
Right.
comment here?
Would you have a different outcome if you were doing the Warsh or one of the other variants of the Quran? Do you think you would find much that was different?
Very minute. The differences are not that important. You have to remove the dots, you have to remove the vowels. So you have to go back before all the readers. All the readers are corrupt.
Okay, so you were going back to the text before the readers, before all of these differences.
Yeah, with this translation, I just used Hafs. I
Yeah,
am
but Hafs
talking
comes
in,
very late in the game. I mean, he's not exactly the first guy out the gate, which is really odd anyway.
I know, but this is the translation that everyone now says is the standard. I am talking in a future Quran translation. Of course, I will disregard Hafs and I will just look at readers just based on their location. So I want to know, is this reader an Iraqi? Is this reader a Syrian? These are the things that I might just look at, but I want to go even further back looking at the manuscripts so that we could correctly crack the Quranic code. We cannot just use these readers. These
Right.
readers, yeah,
Yeah, I'm just thinking here. Oops. No. These readers you speak of. Let me just share something. What did I do? Share. Let's hope I don't make a mistake and take you off the screen. Um, this. I mean, this is the modern standardized Quran, right? You have the history of the Quran. We start up here with Muhammad's Quran. Supposedly, these no one knows really where these go. Some of them die off. Then you have Uthman's Codex, which we don't have. Then you've got all of these different versions, and we come down to Hafs is down here. I mean, so Hafs is all the way down here. So went from Uthman to Kufi, which is Iraq. So the Quran first came to Iraq, then it came to Asim, and then Hafs is here. And then in 1936, we get the Cairo edition. The last update to the Cairo edition is down here. I mean, so Hafs sits here. So I just wonder if some of these others, because there was some of the variants like where they say if they versus if they stopped those guys, or or those guys were stopped by, or they stopped the guys stopped them. Where there's like sentences that mean the opposite in some of these, or she was guilty versus he was guilty, she did it, he did it. There's odd sentences like that in between these variants here at this level.
yeah. Well, what I say is these readers, they are all wrong. Like if you have an exam and the class has 100 students and no one got the full mark, but that doesn't mean that these people, um, some of them answered some questions right and the others answered it wrong. So how can you discern? This is the question. You have to just rely on logic when making another translation, and you have to look at the very first reader because, of course, he's going to be interesting, I assume. I looked at the first reader, which is Ibn Amir, Ibn Amir al Damashqi from Damascus, which is very close to the action. So I will look at Ibn Amir and I will look at other places. But I know that all these readers are wrong because they came much later and then they had the Arabic rules superimposed on the Quran. The Quran never had these dots or these diacritical marks, as you know.
Hmm. Okay, yeah, this is yeah, it's a lot to untangle. Okay. Now back to that.
Okay, I am sharing now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so as I told you last time, I remember you told me you're not good in the kitchen, but this one is easy. When I give you white sugar, eggs, baking soda, vanilla, and milk, you might have an amazing cake. This is with the Christian translators. You told me how sincere they are, very sincere. Or you could have a horrible cake like the Muslim translators. But the moral of the story is same ingredients, same results. It's always going to be a cake. Now, what happens if I give you yeast, flour, oil, pepperoni, and mushrooms? Lloyd, what would you get with such ingredients? You could try now.
Yeast, flour, oil, pepperoni, and mushrooms. I am going to have a bill from the local pizza parlor down the street with a bunch of pizza ingredients on my table. But
Exactly.
that's a pizza.
So that's a pizza. Now, why? Because the ingredients are different. So here,
Right.
the Murad translation, you could say this one is the only pizza because it used different uh, things to start with. It used the Arabic dictionary, it used the Oxford dictionary, it used a lot of different things. It never opened the sin standard Islamic narrative. So here you have the original primitive meaning of the Quran and the sin rendition of the Quran. Sin rendition, all Muslim translators and non Muslim translators, they're all oranges. Mine, the original primitive meaning of the Quran, would be the only apple. So, what makes my
Hmm.
Quran translation unique? And I say the Murad translation a better revelation. Well, my translation could be the missing link. People told me, Murad, you have to tell the people why is your product better. I told them, better? It is not better, it is the first product to come into existence. It is the first ever Quran translation that ignored the entirety of the sin.
Right.
This translation will give you the hidden layer of the Quran which was suppressed by the Abbasids and their sin standard narrative. You can say it serves as the missing link between the time of Muhammad, if he existed, till the Abbasid Caliphate. My translation will get you much closer to understanding the secrets of the Arabic language. Yes, it's not the final answer. The final answer might be a future Aramaic translation, but still, it's a big step towards cracking Islam's code. And before I illustrate, do you have something to say now?
So if you do an Aramaic translation, are you going to be using um, Christoph Luxemburg's work and Kerr's work on Aramaisms in the Quran?
Of course. And Gabriel Sauma. And other people. There are a lot of other, you can say, secret warriors that only speak Arabic and Aramaic and they do not
Right.
know English. So I will be the missing link to give you the English meaning of what they are saying in Arabic and Aramaic.
So you think there's an Aramaic, or would you say Syriac? I know there's many people say, well, actually, it's the same language. It's just like the one has like extra commas. But apparently, I mean, I've read other studies which say the languages are actually distinct. They're separated. They're distinct enough to be separate languages. Then others say they're just a dialect. But would you say that the original language would be Syriac or Aramaic? Which of those would you go with?
I think it's Syriac, the Eastern Syriac, not Western. The Quran is
Okay.
mostly Eastern Syriac.
Okay, that's interesting. So it was taken from that.
That is the closest to it. And also it has Nabatean, but of course I am not qualified to tell you this. A lot of other professors really know what they're talking about. I'm just good with Arabic because it's my mother tongue.
Okay. And obviously you've identified some Hebrew and some Greek and others as well, right?
Of course, it has Hebrew, it has Greek, it has Ethiopic, it has all of that. This is certain. But
Okay.
which word exactly, you have to trace it, and you have to trace it also with the verse. You might have to trace it also with coins that they used during the Islamic Caliphate. So it's
Hmm.
a very tedious job to get exactly what this word, the origin of this word was.
Yeah, but you just make it seem like we're finally getting close to cracking this puzzle.
Well, we are much closer than we were before by using this translation. So we are much closer, but still, we need more years to actually end this. It's not easy. And I do not have
Right.
the key. I do not have the answer. I don't want people to get this impression at all. I'm just saying I gave you like a very big thing to float on, and it will cross you to another land.
Right.
Now allow me to illustrate what I was telling you. You have Muhammad here if he existed. You have Rashidun if they existed. You have the Umayyads. You have the Abbasids. Here, all Quran translations, they're oranges. They worked with Abbasid material and beyond. So Abbasids and even way before, way after that.
Hmm.
But with my translation, you are close to this era. You might be closer to Muhammad Rashidun and Umayyads, or at least Umayyads. You won't realize how much deception there is in these translations before you read mine. Almost every single word is different than what you are used to. Here are a list of things or words that are not in my translation: revelation, book, people of the book, sent down, unseen, disbelievers, infidels, battle of Badr, Yathrib, wife, husband,
Wow.
pair, everlasting, abrogation, hell, hellfire, missiles, forbidden, trial, test, good news, crucify, I seek refuge, lawful, unlawful, sedition, private parts, terror, booty, spoils of war, and fight. These words are not in my translation. What do you think?
I mean, this changes things. The implications here, I believe, are huge. What do you replace them with? What were they originally? Or if they were never there, what is the actual text then? If they're not there and shouldn't be replaced, or just like what how what are the questions to ask here? What are the conclusions to draw? But this changes the story. If the Quran was not sent down, if there was no people of the book, then what should it be? That this changes the story. This changes the it potentially changes the chronology. It changes the geography. It changes whether or not these characters were real, were there or not. It rips pieces out of the story. So things that you thought were fixtures within the Quran, like a pair of people, right? Or that this is talking about marriage, husband and wife. Now suddenly it's talking about cattle or horse breeding on your farm. That's a completely different context. So the context has changed, the meaning has changed, the implication has changed, the law has changed, the it leaves nothing, it leaves very little the same. It just upends everything. I mean, this is huge. If this is the case, Murad, I'm not sure if I'm explaining it as well as I could, or phrasing it as well as I could, but the implications here are enormous. And
Yeah,
it
and
also means
yeah,
Islam did not invent missiles because, as you know, missiles are a Muslim invention, just like everything else.
yeah. Uh, I just see the Battle of Badr here, and if you just open the Arabic dictionary, معجم المعاني, لسان العرب, anything of these dictionaries, it is very clear what the word Badr means, and it is a certain phase of the moon. It is a certain time of the year. So it's talking about a timing. It's not talking about a place, it's not talking about a battle. So why don't they ever have it this way in their translations? Is because they skip the Arabic dictionary and they go right to Tabari. They say Al Tabari is the most knowledgeable. No, Al Tabari doesn't know anything. Al Tabari from Tabaristan, Iran,
He's just
is not
guessing himself.
knowledgeable. He just says, well, this guy who was a companion of Muhammad who was barefoot and was very hungry, who used to create these hadiths just to eat. This guy said this. I don't care. I don't care what this guy is saying. I do care
Yeah.
about sages who used to teach at schools.
Right,
I care about old Christian sages, priests, monks, rabbis. These are the guys who I should ask. I should consult
right.
and say what the and know what the Quran is actually saying.
But this means now you have to, as people are saying in the chat. So these are not my original thoughts here, but you have gutted the Quran, and you have to change everything you thought you knew, and you have to start your translation from scratch without these ideas. These ideas were clearly then inserted falsely, and you have to go back you're going to come up with a completely different book with 99% different meanings.
Yeah, as I told you before, I had to unlearn my mother tongue. I had to uninstall what I already know and
Hmm.
start from scratch as if I'm trying to walk to learn how to walk. That's why I got to these conclusions. And actually, every word here I can defend and tell you why this is not the case in my translation, any word of these, because every word has a story with me. I remember I used to ponder upon these words for days and days. Sometimes I used to dream of a certain word, and then I wake up to find that I am on the right track to crack the word. So this is the story, really.
Hmm. Right, right. Yeah, it's hard to. I mean, it's unexpected. It's a big shock in a sense to see this, and then it's you've really got to spend your time thinking. Hold on, what are the implications here? This is not something you necessarily see all the implications immediately.
Exactly. Actually, this translation is gonna take minimum 1 year for people to recover from it, for people to read it and actually ask the right questions. People are not asking me a lot of questions because they didn't recover from the shock yet. They have to read it and reread it, and all of a sudden they can't unsee it because my translation is the logical answer because any word I can find it all over the Quran in other contexts. So it's like game over. So
Hmm.
the sin is mostly game over.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, no. I mean, this is if these changes are true, then this nukes a significant portion of the Quran. A lot of its doctrine, a lot of its supposedly derived law is undermined. A lot of its stories are undermined. I mean, this is momentous. This is putting a nuclear bomb under the foundations. It's yeah. I mean, there's implications here, and if scholars would take the time to investigate this and confirm it from an academic point of view. I'm not saying your work that we're doubting your work, but if scholars would affirm it, if scholars would take the time and go, yeah, yeah, we've convinced ourselves. I mean, this would be a tsunami, sweeping through the Islamic world.
Yeah, and actually, if I will convince someone that these words mean what I have here, it's gonna be a lot of back and forth. It's gonna be like removing propaganda from his head. But once he sees it, he will never go back because what I'm using is just basic Arabic. It's Arabic that he speaks every day. It's just that he is conditioned, conditioned like propaganda to know that these words mean these things. Like, for example, I seek refuge. I always talk about this. It's not I seek refuge, is I incantate. So these are incantations. This is magic. This is witchcraft.
Hmm.
We know
I
this.
mean, the incantation could be one to seek refuge or for safety. I mean, the incantation can have the context of seeking refuge from something, from some consequence. So it could be that they're jumping over the seeking the you know the it could be that they are looking at they are seeking refuge, but they want to avoid bringing attention to the fact that it's spell casting.
Exactly. But this is important. This is not something small, you know?
Right. Yeah, one has to wonder. I mean, if you take A out, do you replace it with B or do you leave it blank? If it's not blank, is it blank because there was something there that was removed? Or should you replace it with something else? What should that something be? I mean, this is you know one can then play that game as well and try to determine what is the correct solution there. But also, what were they trying to hide? What were they trying to remove, and why? And these are questions as well. And it's a lot to take in all at once.
Yeah. So now we have a major shift. You see, Robert Spencer's Did Muhammad Exist? You could say there is a before and an after. Robert Spencer, he used to make a lot of debates with Muslims about did Muhammad exist. If you watch these debates, I do not know if they are still online, you will laugh because the Muslims' response is laughable. They say, well, Muhammad existed because the Quran says so. Like, laughable. And this shows how they do not actually know how to defend us. Hajarism, a making of the Islamic world, Patricia Crone and Cook, you have a before and an after.
Hmm.
I
You know,
foresee,
Muslims want to insist
yeah,
that Muhammad is in the Bible. Now they're going to have to start insisting, yes, he is in the Quran.
yeah, exactly. Because Muhammad in the Quran is an interpolation,
Yeah, we're going
and
to have to ask them. So show me where Muhammad is in the Quran. That's going to be
exactly,
funny when that starts happening.
even the word that is in the Bible, that they say it sounds like Muhammad, it would shoot them in the foot if they continued this route of research, as Mel did with J. Smith. So they really should just be quiet and humble and try to think quietly. This is the what they should be doing.
Yeah. I mean, today I posted something on my channel, on the community page, and let me just post it up here for a moment. I mean, this seriously, Murad, what you've done here is going to have consequences, and in any sane, logical, rational world that deals in truth, it is going to have enormous consequences, and we need to get academia behind this. You know, all of those scholars that talk like I can't remember the name now, but like Ahmad Jalad and what's it, Reynolds? I can't remember his name exactly.
Gabriel.
We need Gabriel Said Reynolds. Yeah, I mean, he claims to be a Christian. I find him to be a bit nervous to talk about these topics. Like he has all the dots and fails to connect them, like they all do. But we need to get them to start to be honest. I posted this today. I mean, Mary, mother of Jesus, was a Muslim. There is more written about her in the Quran and in the Bible. Well, there's more written about her than there is about Muhammad in the Quran, for that matter. She's described as the purest woman in the world, and I think the next sentence he writes she also drove a Volvo. You know, So I'm pretty sure she did. I'll bet she drove a Volvo. Those are very safe cars. I can see her driving one. So yeah, but this is becoming worse now with the whole October 7th thing, with all the Hamas activity on campus. They're becoming bolder. Now, Abraham was a Muslim. Muslims invented sugar. Muslims invented the computer mouse. Muslims invented satellites. It's going overboard now, and now they're getting bolder and bolder, and we need to hit back. And I think what you've got here is one of the most potent tools we could have to finally, really take a hammer to Islam. Honestly, and I mean, I really want to see people step up and work with your material.
I am glad that you are endorsing this material, and the good part is I am not doing this solely to destroy Islam. This is not my main goal. Of course, I would love to destroy it, but this is not my main goal. My main goal is to actually crack the Quranic code. It's fun because no one has actually cracked it like 100%. I'm not gonna crack it 100% as well, but I took huge steps forward with this work. You see?
No, I think you did. And thank you very much. That was from Ariel Johnson. Thank you very kindly. A small gift for Lloyd's ministry. God bless. Look, thank you very much. Highly appreciated, Ariel. No, this is a fantastic. I mean, Odon has a fantastic thesis that ties a lot of this together, and yourself, and would be great to have you on again to try to narrow this, because I think we are starting to narrow it down, Murad. I think we're narrowing it down to geography, and I believe we're slowly, or at least we're gathering the clues to allow us to narrow it down to geography and to time. even if it's different geographies and times, but we're starting to get that clarity as to where and when.
Yes, exactly. So I foresee an era where there will be a before and after my translation. This is not because I am narcissistic, this is because this work is going to force itself to be discussed in the future. It cannot be ignored as it is very different than any other translation. Question: what will you lose if you do not get my translation? This is a question that people ask me. Well, not getting my Quran translation will cost you a lot of things. One, you will never be able to know the very literal meaning of Quranic words. You will have to succumb to lies in other Quran translations. You will remain in the cage of the sin standard narrative. You will never access the pre-Abbasid Caliphate understanding of the Quran. So, on one level, I don't want you to miss out because this is going to be a fun read. It's very annoying, but it's fun at the same time, how weird it is. And
Right.
also, I don't want you to be fooled. That's on another level. How important is this project for you as a person? And this is for the people watching. Let me ask you, how important is it for you to understand the hidden layer of the Quran and get closer to cracking the code of Islam? How important is it for you if you are a Christian, because most of the audience are Christian, to preach to Muslims using this hidden layer, hidden linguistic Quranic layer? How important is it for you in general to spread such truth all over the internet? So, this is the question. Are you liking the videos? Are you sharing this sort of stuff? You want to add something here?
No, I think we need these different perspectives. I mean, all of these perspectives, like the sin, has its value, it has its place, because you have to meet people where they're at. So one has to understand that because there was an evolution, but this gives you the foundation. So you have to understand the foundation and attack it from that angle. So everyone has their place, but I think we also need to know how these things connect from one to the other. So, we need to understand the hidden layer. We need to understand the origins, because to all things, their origins. You need to understand how it started. And this gives you coherence in terms of its structure. You can then reverse engineer it. And I think this gives us another tool for dealing with this. This gives us just more ammunition for understanding this as an engineered agenda to this. Islam was uh, clearly created as a counterfeit of something else, and then repurposed. So yeah, I think we need to maybe start with the sin, but then we need to say, hey, look, now that I have your attention, let's talk about the original Quran as close as we have it, and this is the Saint Murad translation. So I think we maybe can't start with the Saint Murad translation, but we've got to go, hey, look, let's look at the original Quran, let's look at all these variations, but do you want to get back to the first Quran? Okay, let's do that. Let's have a look here, and this is going to be, yeah, this is just one major tool in the toolbox. I'm not sure if I rambled there. I was trying to make a point, but um, you are opening up a whole new set of opportunities and tools, I think, that we can bring to bear on this problem. And I think people are going to find creative uses for it, and we haven't seen everything they're going to do to use this effectively yet.
Yeah, I want to emphasize your point. I want to say that using my translation by comparing it to other translations is the way to go. So I would advise people to have mine and Osama Dakdok and Robert Spencer. But what I want the person reading to have in his mind is the following. He would read my translation, he would say, this is the original meaning, and then it got corrupted in the sin as the Osama understanding.
That's a great one, because they keep saying the Bible is corrupted, the Quran is perfect. You go, hold on, wait, hold on. Let's look at the Saint Murad. Let's look at the, I don't know, take the Sahih International, and hey, they're not quite the same, are they?
Yes, so you will see in my translation you have the word Badr meaning a certain phase of the moon. So the reader will say, okay, it used to mean a certain phase of the moon. This is the original meaning. Then when I go to Osama, I will find that it is the Battle of Badr. This is the first corruption, not from Osama, but from the sin. Osama
Hmm.
preserved it. Now let's look at the third layer of corruption, and you will pick up with Robert Spencer because he has very good commentary. But missing out on my translation, which is the first literal one, is a big mistake because this is the heart of the onion. You see?
Right. Yeah.
So now I have four products for the people that I want to talk about. Just to be clear, my translation is digital only. There are no physical copies, and this is for safety reasons, so people please don't ask me about this now. You have an English only version, which is PDF, and this is how it looks like, and you have a Kindle version, and this is how it looks like. This is English only. I created all of this myself, and it was very tiring. Then there is an Arabic plus English version, PDF, and this is how it looks like. You have the Arabic on the right, English on the left, and also Kindle with the Arabic on the right, English on the left, and this was very painful to create in the Kindle in this fashion. So, what are the offers? You see, I have two offers. One is a very low price, the other is high. Who is the light version for? The cheaper version. This one is for the casual viewers. These are the silent majority, the ones who never comment on the videos but are always there. The price of this product is equal to two of your regular coffees. Maybe under Biden it's one coffee or one sip of coffee, but now it's gonna be better. It's one product, it's complete English only version PDF, but has some limits. The limits are you have here um, this watermark, and it can't be printed and it can't be highlighted. And this is limited for 1,000 people only, meaning once it's out, it's out. So you better hurry up if you want this one. You have anything to say before I show the next offer?
No. So the link is buymeacoffee.com/Saint Murad, correct?
Yeah, I think the link is just in the description. They could
Links
just,
are in the description as well. Yeah.
yeah.
And
Uh,
scrolling along the bottom, you'll see the link to Saint Murad's Buy Me a Coffee shop.
So, who is the complete package for? This one is for the warriors who believe in the cause. This offer is not for the casual viewers. You will be funding much bigger projects, which you never thought possible. Not only the Quran, but other stuff. That's the covenant I will be having with the people. So you have four products: English only, PDF, and the Kindle, and the Arabic and the English. Kindle and PDF. Four products. Let's review. You have here with the light version, English only version, PDF, and you will lose all of this. Complete package, you have all of this plus a digital certificate that I created for the people, for the one who will get this one. Now, how to download the Murad translation? The link is in the description box. No registration required, so you do not have to be a member or anything like that. No credit card fees. I take care of that for you. So, credit, debit, Apple Pay, and Google Pay, they're all working just fine. Also, now local currency is available. You can just use your local currency. It's much better for you. The whole thing takes 4 seconds to complete. Plus, you can easily do it by your phone, so you do not need a laptop or a desktop. You could just download right away. Also, there is the Patreon option. If people like Patreon, I have it on my Patreon. I will eventually reply to every single comment of people who downloaded my translation. Also, you could inbox me any questions you have. It might take me a while because there are a lot of messages that I have now, but eventually I will reply. Yeah, before going into this disclaimer, do you have anything to say?
No, that's fine, guys. Please do support Murad in what he's doing. This is unique. This could be valuable to you, and I think going forward, it's going to be valuable to all of us. It's going to change the perspective we have on Islam. It's going to change the narrative, and hopefully, it'll be an earthquake under the foundations of Islam. So please support him.
So, a disclaimer that I have: this Quran translation assumes the Quran to be 100% Arabic. It does not include the Aramaic reading of the Quran. It is sort of a let's give Arabic its best shot. A complete Aramaic reading of the Quran would be an entirely different project with an entirely different concordance, again, built from scratch. Depending on how people will respond to my content, it might be a separate project in the future. An Aramaic reading of the Quran can't come into existence without this work being established first. A completely new Aramaic Quran concordance has to be built upon a strong Arabic concordance first. It is sort of a you can't bench press real heavy unless you advance the lighter weights first. You see, you can't just jump into this without going through this. This is the Aramaic concordance. You see? Again, do we need another Quran translation after all that I have just said?
No, we need a translation, and finally, we have one.
So let me ask you, do you actually have a Quran translation? What you have is a mere shadow of it. It is like calling this the Mona Lisa. This is how bad it is.
So, wait, the picture on the left, that was a guy called, let me see, Da Vinci painting himself as a transgender, right?
I have no idea.
I'm just guessing because apparently, these days, yeah, the last one on the right is horrible.
Yeah, this is a close representation to the English translations. So you just have the face, but the entire thing has nothing to do with the Arabic text. So do you need another translation? Yes, because you don't have one. Oh, and by the way, if you know of any other Quran translation that is ultra literal, has no brackets, based on linguistics and not on the sin, then you do not need my translation. But if you don't know of any, then back to square one. Light version, complete package, you choose whatever suits you the most and get the translation now.
Right.
Download whenever you like, but believe me, you will be missing out on a lot of fun reading this masterpiece. And I ask you, Lloyd, what do you think? You have been reading this translation for quite a while. It's very annoying, but what do you think of it so far?
I think you need to read it in comparison with other translations because reading it in isolation is not the same as comparing it with, say, Sahih International or one of your other favorite translations. Then you really get a perspective. And then sometimes you realize, like, you're just reading it, and suddenly it's like you hit a brick wall and you're like, huh? And like that makes no sense. And you realize if this is what the Quran was, then what we have now is just fiction made up to fill in the blank here because you just realize the whole thing is there are serious problems with this book, and then the translations are like, who wrote this? Like, did was this a I mean, who wrote this? Were they what are they trying to say? It's mind-numbingly confusing. And so yeah,
Yeah,
it's not written like in a style that one would associate with Western English rational sort of educated people at all.
you see, Quran translators They take a minimum of 10 years to translate the Quran. You would think that those 10 years they were creating a concordance, they were looking at subtle differences in the Arabic. You would think that. But the reality is they take all those years because they are trying to make the English text make sense, because they don't want to be ridiculed. Even Christian translators, when they translate, they know that the Muslim majority will be like bullies. They will bully them. They will tell them, how are you translating it this way, making the Quran not make sense? I do not have this self censorship. I am not bullied by them. They could say whatever
Mm,
they like. This is the Arabic. It is this bad. You see?
yeah. Another thing also, I think that it's important that we do this work, that we promote this, is the simple fact that right now in Paris, in Amsterdam, in Belgium, there are groups of mobs of Muslims going out hunting for Jews. They are, and this is not going to stop in Paris. This is not going to stop in Amsterdam. This is happening in the US. It might be isolated, but it's not the only incident. And tomorrow, they're becoming emboldened because of how well they've, for the last year and plus, they've had these Hamas marches. This is going to grow. This is going to go to Germany. This is going to go to pick your Western European country. And remember, once they're done with the Saturday people, they're going to come for the Sunday people. And once they're done with the Sunday people, they're going to go for the atheists that gleefully support them. Um, we may not have our governments listening to us. We may not have access to armies or billions of dollars, but we have the internet, and we can, at the grassroots level, we can make a noise. We can be heard. We can be seen. We can spread the word. And this is a fantastic resource to bring doubt to Muslims, to really cause them to have doubt, because that's the one thing, the fitna, if you want to call it that, that Muslims are told to avoid, which is temptation away from. Although, of course, that's the standard narrative. So, Murad, you'll probably correct me and say it actually means ice cream. We need to be giving Muslims ice cream, right? So, for all I know, but introducing doubt is something that Islamic law, the Quran, and so on are very frightened of. This is a tool to bring that doubt. It's accessible to all of us. It's affordable to all of us, and we need to start using this. We need to bring Islam down because it is a threat. It is out. It is starting to hunt, and we need to protect our countries, our culture, our religion, and just our safety and our peace of mind. So this is an amazing tool. We can all use this. We can all be part of this. So be that grain of sand I've spoken about before. Be that grain of sand. Grind their gears. Be one grain of sand, 2 grains of sand. Those gears eventually start to grind, and you grind them to a halt. So don't be afraid that you want George Soros, but with a good heart. Just do what you can, do it with others, and eventually you get the emperor elected, as we have. So during this next 4 years, when we have the opportunity, this is one thing you can do. That's my little hopefully motivational speech, Murad.
Yeah. You said the word fitna, so I am automatically very interested, as you know. This word, when I looked into it in the dictionary, people they just translate it as test, but the word test is not very accurate.
Should be temptation, isn't that? Because that's what's in the Encyclopedia of Islam is temptation.
That's also not the most accurate. If you just look at it at a very basic level, this word means testing gold to see if it has impurities or not. So it's a
Mm,
test by fire. That's why in my translation I have it as assay with an A. This word is amazing. It
okay.
fits the word fitna. In the
Mm.
medieval times, you used to have, um,
But that's that would have started in alchemy and then made its way into chemistry. That's an odd choice of word.
yes, in the medieval times, you used to have a very brutal test of lying. They used to get boiling water and they put a coin in it. So if you just quickly grab the coin, then you are not a liar, you are not convicted. But if
Hmm.
you keep burning your hand, this is fitna, this burning. There is this word also, I can't remember exactly. Maybe someone can help me in the chat with this medieval tests. It's just using fire as a test. This is fitna.
Okay, so that is
Yeah, ordeal,
really
ordeal, the word I'm looking for, ordeal.
okay. That's very unusual. Okay, ordeal. So what is the context that they're trying to point at with ordeal?
Well, when the Quran says al-fitna ashaddu min al-qatl, meaning the assay is more intense than killing. So the assay, this harsh test, this ordeal, test by fire, testing gold to see if it has impurities or not, to know if you are pure gold or not. That is more
Hmm.
intense. People they say severe, no intense. Shidda is intensity, like an intense workout. You do not have a severe workout. Very critical. So this is the Quranic word fitna. It's an assay. That's why also in the Arabic, when people they see a very hot woman, a sexy woman, they will say fitna. This is fitna because this is a very harsh test that you control yourself.
Mm. That's
Very weird, but this is what the Quranic author is intending.
that's very unusual. I mean, I went to an alchemical laboratory in in the Czech Republic, and that was just weird. I went to a couple of places that have, and it's yeah. The odd thing is that the whole idea of alchemy is very heavily tied up. At least it was back then with the occult. So it's not a neutral term. It's got a lot to do with, uh, well, less savory ideas. But this is very, yeah, it's something to worth talking about more to try to find the context and because wow, I mean, you can't even trust like these gold standard encyclopedia of Islam and such because they change the context, so you're not sure if you're understanding the word correctly because that tells you what the culture was like, what the thinking was like, and now they're trying to hide something.
Yeah, the meaning I'm giving you is the most primitive. That's what you will find in old books like the Al Askari, the one that I told you about. So Al Fitna, it always has to do with gold. How do you know if gold doesn't have impurities? You subject it to very harsh fire. This is fitna.
Hmm. Yeah, but again, to me, the context is alchemy. The context is, you know, um, they say that fire. They say that fire is the test of gold, right? So you put gold in an oven, and the adversity of strong men, but fire is the test of gold. That's the interesting. You have to go through the fire. You have to do the cleansing by fire. There's context there. It's there's yeah there would be I would assume this has some kind of potentially occult meaning as well, ritual meaning.
Or maybe Zoroastrian layers to it with the
Right.
whole fire
You make
thing.
it, yeah, you make me think now. Let me just share something for just a brief diversion. I'm just going to grab this. These are some photos that I took. This was in this is in Czech Republic. Sadly, I can't scroll left and right through this. Doesn't allow me to. Nope. Um, but this is an alchemical laboratory that I went to that was restored, and so you've got these interesting things. I mean, these are cosmetic, but you'll notice there's lots of symbolism here that is really odd because you're just making me think, Murad, and I'm trying to find connections. I'm trying to find links between how we got from A to B, right? So this was in
Yeah.
Prague. Um, yeah, and you'll see things like this, but notice the kind of symbolism that you'll see lots of this interesting symbolism that goes back to the period, and you'll see things of this type, lots of satanic imagery, which is odd, and it's not always necessarily strictly satanic, but you'll find a cult type of imagery, and this is really interesting. This. It's great if you go there. It's called Speculum Alchemia. It's well worth going. and this gets opened. I've got some video and stuff of it somewhere, and you end up in a secret passage, and that secret passage takes you to places like this, and you will see they have big ovens where they would separate chemicals and test gold, and it's very interesting, and it's just the context, and because these scholars would not only want to make alchemy, the original alchemy is spiritual alchemy, converting your soul, becoming the perfect man, burning off your flaws, and then leaving only the pure Muhammadan spirit that is at the core of your soul. That is your soul. You are part of Muhammad. You know, it's kind of weird how Muslims view that, but this is, yeah. So you get these crazy passages, and yeah. So this is a laboratory going back 600 years, I think, and these are the original implements. This is actually all original stuff here. So, this was buried and then found not that long ago. So, yeah, so just thought I'd bring that up. I mean, there's more than one furnace here. So, just odd, just an odd reference to alchemy. So, yeah, just thought I'd throw that out there.
Yeah, the word definitely has alchemy in it. That's why I had to choose this specific word. I've had it as test for the longest time in my concordance, but I was never satisfied. When I found the word assay, this perfectly encompasses the Arabic word because
Hmm.
it is alchemy and it is very specific. That's why the word fitna, no one could
Yeah,
give you like the exact correct word because it's
yeah.
used in the Arabic. They say fatantu dhahaba bin nar, meaning I have assayed the gold using fire, very harsh fire, so that I
Mm.
know if
Yeah.
this is pure or not.
But then, it's interesting that, and there's a couple of people hinting at it, and Andrew Martin said you're discarding material life because you destroy what is impure, which is the physical, and you're left with the spiritual. I mean, this kind of ultimately becomes then an anti-life philosophy. It isn't interested. The it becomes antinomian. You're not bound by moral law. You can do immoral things because you want to purge all of that and just end up with a pure soul, pure spirit. But it just becomes twisted and upside down and backwards morality. I mean, there's just oddities with this thing. Yeah.
When you think about it, the Quranic phrase doesn't make sense on its own. When you say
Hmm.
temptation is more severe than killing, what does this even mean? But the assay is more
Because it makes
intense.
your soul impure. And remember, it's the Gnostic view. The only spirit matters, whereas flesh doesn't matter because it's matter. Matter is evil. So what you do to the flesh is not important as long as you maintain purity. And if those people are bad, well, kill them because it's okay. It's the Gnostic inversion of morality. It's really strange stuff, Murad.
This is what's going on. This is what the Quran is talking about. That's why the Quranic author sees the assay or the hard burning of fire is more intense than actually getting killed. It only makes sense like this. It doesn't make sense to say that temptation is more severe than killing. Why? It doesn't make logical sense. Not that the Quran makes much sense, but at least this sentence it works
Uh,
this way.
Again, we had this conversation last week at the end, and I mean, there are implications here. There are powerful philosophical and moral implications, and these, when carried over into action, have shocking implications for our culture, for our lives in the real world. And we see today they're going out there, you know. So your work finally puts that little cherry on that cake that we started with, Murad.
I hope so, and I hope the people they are downloading the translation. And please, anyone who gets my translation, please send me through the inbox and put comments on my channel. I will reply to you if there is something that you do not understand or why did I choose this word and not that word. So yeah,
Yeah. So guys, the only thing that you should be doing right now is screaming and shouting and saying, Murad, take my money. So yeah, amazing stuff, Murad. I mean, amazing. I mean, really mind blowing. It's a lot to take in, but you've given people a concrete way to start improving their apologetics, to start bringing that doubt into Islam, and to all of these claims they make about the Bible, you can now hit back hard and say, hold on, but let's take a long, hard look at the Quran. Let's have a look at these translations and let's go back to the beginning and see where we are. I think this is a powerful tool, and we need to start. Sandra says, start throwing money at the screen. Now, guys, I don't have. I've only got a 10 and a 20, but damn it, there you go. Yeah. This is Polish money, by the way. This is a, oh my gosh, this is a Polish 20. And I've just received a message from the significant other that says, Lloyd, get off the phone because I have family that have arrived to stay over and I need to get out of this room because this is the spare bedroom and they sleep here. So
So we're gonna call it a night.
unfortunately, I have to. Yeah, yeah. They're gonna need this room
Yeah.
because it's the spare room. Murad, thank you. I mean, let's do this again soon. I'd love to match you up with a couple of other guests and have a further discussion around this. I mean, this is really powerful stuff, and I think the audience agrees. And yeah, I have Zwotti, yes. Tak, ich habe Zwotte. Ich habe hier 30 Zwotte. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, Murad, final word, but thank you. And I mean, this has been fantastic again.
Final word is thank you very much for having me once again, and thank you for endorsing this work. And I thank the people for joining. And yeah, we will do this again. And I want to tell the people that I will not stop. I'm actually here to stay a minimum of 10 years online. So I will be giving even much more than this and much better material. So just stay tuned.
Radio. So, guys, and if Murad does come up with anything interesting, I will definitely have him on again to have that discussion. And I'm also hoping to have another couple of discussions with him and Odon and others to look at some of the new evidence and to give it perspective. I think with all of these great minds, we can figure this whole fascinating mystery of Islam out and finally do something about it. So yeah. So good night, guys. Everyone, take care and God bless.